welcome to episode 1 of season 5 of The Paper Thing with me, the Broken Bottle Boy, back once again after a 2-week hiatus for a 1-week start to the show for a brief second hiatus, and then we're back properly. But this is the first week of season 5. We are back. Hello, Use of Weapons. How are you doing? Welcome to the Cursed Dojo for season 5. There's new stuff. There's a bot now. You can spend your Herzogs. If you look at the bottom of the chat window, you'll see a little picture of Werner Herzog, and if you click on him, you can spend your channel points on things. There are various rewards and things you can use them for, so that's fun, isn't it? Yes, there's Stream Elements saying that I'm live now. I am live now. Okay, will there be new coins? There will be new coins. No doubt there will be new coins. Right, so it's a 4-paper show. One of those papers I will be doing as a speed run. I expect that will be The Guardian. So we've got the Times, the Sun, the Daily Mail, and the Guardian up for grabs. We'll start with the Sun, speed run through the Guardian, then do the Times and the Daily Mail, as is our tradition and want. So yes, hello. Let's get started with the Sun. I need to put some Brule cream in my hair to make it stop going in my face. I'm going to do that. Voila, like a spiv. Hey Mark, good to see you. How you doing? Thank you for joining me for this first episode of season 5. Jesus Christ, my hair is horrible at the moment. Yes, there are new special effects. Will I make that plate real? No, I will not. I refuse to make that plate real. Oh God, hang on. Oh, that's better. There we go. Yes, if you click on the Werner Herzog at the bottom of the chat window, there's all sorts of new stuff you can do. Hey, Studying Fangirl, how you doing? Hello, Chroma Firm. Hello, Mark Kenosis. Right, on with the Sun, front page of the Sun. It's an old school Sun here. Arsenal 0, Chelsea 2, Wolves 0, Spurs 1. Look who's back. Harry, 24-page goals pull out. We won't be going through that. Love Island final tonight, which means we get coverage of that. And the main story, never mind Sleepy Joe, get 'em out Bojo. Yes, the Sun with its tongue so far up Boris Johnson's arse that it counts as proctology. Obviously, it's a coverage of the ongoing Afghanistan story. I say ongoing, that story's been going on for what? A couple of hundred years? Right. Inside the paper, on page 3, there isn't page 3, but is page 3, Maura Higgins, a former Love Island contestant, is pictured in some Ann Summers lingerie that she is promoting. There you go. Use of Weapons. Which paper will get the General Belligerence Award for commitment to endless wars? Currently, it's a dead heat between all of them. Also on page 3, Dracula tourists are a pain in the neck. Dracula devotees have been left spitting blood over their fruitless demands to see the fictional vampire's grave. Frustrated fans Frustrated fans have even verbally abused church staff after being told he's not real. They flock to the 900-year-old St Mary's in Whitby, North Yorkshire, where Dracula arrives from Transylvania in Bram Stoker's 1897 novel. Classic August bullshit story there. Studying Fangirl says, has the alpaca debacle been resolved? The alpaca is still set to be killed, but it's not yet dead. Now, if you want to know more about the alpaca thing, do read the newsletter from a while back. I did a whole thing around the tabloid's history of alpaca stuff. Mark noticed, I'm not leaving till I see Dracula's grave. Call the cops, I don't care. Pages 4 and 5, desperate rescue mission amid new threat from IS. Flight to freedom, hundreds evacuated from Kabul on Brit plane. They talk about some of the stories of people who are on that plane. Use of Weapons. I would simply send the Goths back to Gothenburg instead of letting them live in England where they refuse to integrate. On page 7, Little Mix star has baby. Yes, Perry Edwards from Little Mix has had a baby. That's a full page story for The Sun. Today's absolutely ludicrous story caused by the government. Cricket legend, it says here, and a man famous for accidentally or not accidentally tweeting a picture of his penis, Sir Ian Botham, is being made a trade envoy to Australia. I would say that's ridiculous, but Prince Andrew is a former trade envoy, and he spent most of his time redacted. On pages 8 and 9, exclusive massive poll on day of Love Island final. Okay, Sun's done a poll. Give a shit. None of it's interesting. Literally none of it's interesting. Even if you like Love Island, nothing they've asked is interesting. They say that Ian Sterling, the Love Island narrator, turned down a masked sex party invite because he feared his distinctive voice would be recognised. Pronotherm says Ian Botham thinks England is an island. Yeah. Trevor Kavanagh is awful. We're not bothering with him on this first day of the new season. On page 11, Sex and the Nikki. Nicole Ari Parker is taking the place of Kim Cattrall in the new Sex and the City, as if the world wasn't cursed enough already. And on page 11, also on page 11, Great British Bake Quaff. Judges in bar every night. The Great British Bake Off's secure filming bubble was a non-stop party, insiders say. Is that right? I feel like they had the headline and had to create the story for that. On page 13, a picture of Boris Johnson and his wife, Carrie Johnson, out for the evening with their son. The face of Wilfred is pixelated, but he's got a big shock of Boris Johnson's style blonde hair. On pages 14 and 15, as the Crown delves into Prince's friendship with Countess Philip Penny, so very close to him, they called her and also. Yes, close to him. Extremely close to him. Again, I've written about that before in Conquest of Useless. If you look back through the archives, you'll find a newsletter on that. On page 17, Don Everly has died. He was 84 years old. On page 19, HMRC target namesake doubles trouble over student fees. Scientists discovered a man in his home city with the same name and date of birth of him has been paying his student fees. Okay. Someone's dressed their dog up as a builder for no particular reason. The dog is called Bricks, and he has 11,500 Instagram followers. There you go. Use Your Weapon says Wilfred is pixelated because he strangled every cat near down his street and is a serial killer. Okay. Who's to say? Who's to say he's not? Well, I am. But, yeah. Anyway, in the Bazaar column, diving into a book, Tom Daly bids to be kids author. I'm sure that's great for all the other kids authors who, aren't celebrities. On page 23, Mission Impopperdom is the headline. Tom Cruise went to an Indian restaurant. Also on page 23, Mum's 1,000 lessons in 30 years. A dozy Parker, anxious learner driver, nods off at the wheel. Terrified mum has taken 1,000 driving lessons but has never sat a test because she passes out behind the wheel with fear. So she's not sleeping, is she? It's a serious issue. But of course not treated that way by the Sun. Mark Kenosis, I agree with you, but can't say that on the stream. On page 24, who's best at dressing to look nude? Various pictures of famous women in sheer dresses. The Sun, just really an excuse to show nipples. Just admit it. On page 25, you plonker, hate clerics, Del Job ban. Hate preacher Anjem Chowdhury is fuming after his bid to become a Del Boy-style market trader was blocked. And of course they Photoshop Anjem Chowdhury as if he is Del Boy. Because why not? Today's Sun is really just, it's worse than ever. The Gold Supplement, front page of the Gold Supplement, Ralph Lauren. I'll wear anything on the touchline if it means more points, even Speedos. That's Ralph Hasenhutti, who donned this waistcoat as Southampton frustrated Manchester United, then claimed he would wear Speedos if it meant picking up points. Okay, whatever. On pages 26 and 27, 20 years after her death, remembering a star victim of R. Kelly, a liar and abuser is the headline. That's quite a good headline, really. Yeah, but they're retelling the story of a liar there, which, is pretty well known to people who know this stuff. There's a new celebrity motor show featuring Ryan Thomas, Nicola Adams, and Joel Dommett coming out. Whatever. In the news today, in the TV today, they recommend Serengeti, BBC One. It's a documentary about the Serengeti. Mark notices Anjan Chowdhury in the news. We're just rerunning the 2000s, aren't we? Yeah, basically. Desire for Forever Wars. News about Anjan Chowdhury. I expect, Combat Trousers will be back next. Oh, that's late 90s, really. What's that? So you dress like a member of All Saints?
Yeah, but not sexy.
Well, I mean...
Non-sexy All Saints.
I disagree with that one, but anyway, Fab Daily, they talk to women who have suffered horrific side effects of contraception and men who are on the male pill trial. Feels like we get this feature sort of once every few months. Chronotherm says Serengeti was terrible, shot like it was a prestige drama rather than a documentary about humans destroying the environment. Well, that sucks. Mark notices Dean Gaffney doing a guest DJ set somewhere as we speak. We can only assume. They're trying to sell you a flip for Android phone for seniors. It apparently is faster, easier, simpler than any phone you've ever tried. And has an SOS button on the back. So there you go. In Dear Deirdre today, the problems are my girl's ADHD is creating issues. My daughter suffers from ADHD. I would say probably don't write into the Sun about that. Is female tights fetish normal? I love wearing women's fancy tights. I've had this fetish since I was a teenager. I am now 63, says a man. Well, yeah, why not? Like, as long as it's not harming anyone else, who gives a shit, man? If you like the feel, do it. And how do I say no to a fourth baby? My wife is badgering me to have another baby, even though I had a vasectomy 8 years ago, writes a man who cannot talk to his wife, so has to write into the Sun. And wife is gym crazy since taking Lover. My wife has turned into a gym bunny since she began an affair. She's obsessed with working out. It's like she's having a midlife crisis and is now demanding that we divorce. I'm 46 and my wife is 42. We were childhood sweethearts. Childhood sweethearts is always bad. It never turns out well. In the letters, here we go. First letter. Yeah, just use of weapons. Mick wears tights during the paper thing. Confirmed. I do not. No. I just wear the same green trousers that I wear most days. Chronotherm, simplest phone ever tried. They're saying that's people that remember Bakelite ring dialers. Yeah, they're selling you an early 2000s phone. Yeah, fuck, it is the 2000s, says use of weapons. Flip phones, yeah. Right, here is our first letter of Season 5. It is the £50 letter from today's Sun, and it comes from Sean Spillane from Folkestone in Kent, who regularly writes into the Sun. So either is a real person who really needs to get a grip, or an invention of the Sun writers. Tony Blair can portray himself as a holier-than-thou by calling US President Joe Biden an imbecile over Afghanistan, but we will never forget his hurried approach to take us into war in Iraq purely to satisfy the ambitions of another American president, George W. Bush. As in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan was about regime change. Both have ended in political failure. People in glass houses should not throw stones. Sean is correct, of course, on this one. Meanwhile, Sandra Queen of Harlow, Essex says, is it any wonder criminals turn to people trafficking when the cash takings are so high? Reading that these traffickers are making up to $700,000 from each channel crossing is a real kick in the teeth to all those earning a living legally. It's time they were dealt with in a much more severe manner by our courts. There we go. Use Weapon says at least one of these letters will be invade Afghanistan again because we need blood and treasure for reasons. Yes, there are at least a few of those. Mark Gnosis says invade Afghanistan so I can get my wife, get enough blood flowing to fuck my wife one time. Okay, and we're back. Mark is back and in sterling form. And then in the sport we've got look and listen. Deluded boss Mikel thanks booing fans. Superb Lukaku hails his dominant debut. Gonna be just like rugby. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says that football's going to turn out like rugby if refs don't crack down on tough tackles. Anyway, that's the Sun. We're back. Let's give it a score. What score do you want to give it today? For me, it's a double negative nice, minus 69.69. Do remember that if you remember, I just said that really weirdly. Do remember, Marlene. Do remember that if you now I've added some new shit. Try it out. You can spend your channel points on stuff. If you press the little Werner Herzog at the bottom of the chat, you can do stuff like unlock an emote or make me check my posture. Just I'm gonna do that just as an illustration. There we go. Oh, now I have to. Everyone wants me to drink water now. Thank you for that.
I mean, I think that's reasonable. You should drink water.
I will add. Use of weapon says minus $1 trillion out of 10 for the Sun. Mark Kenosis gives it a minus 69 punnets of strawberries bought from Jim Chowdhury. Use of weapon says the Romanian government is complicit in trafficking girls to the West and nothing ever gets done. Also, Arsenal, the supreme banter club forever. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, do redeem shit from the channel points menu. I thank you to Geds. I've learned how to do some stuff. There's also a bot now. I mentioned Geds, and there he is. He's appeared. Hi, Geds. How you doing? Yeah, and there's a bot now. The bot can do stuff. So yeah. Right, we're going to move on to The Guardian, which we're going to do a speed run through because Studying Fangirl says the Sun is 0 out of 10. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. No sex survey, 0 out of 10. And Chronotherm gives the Sun 0 to reflect its valuation by News International. Geds taught you the forbidden arts. In a sense, yes. Mainly, I just watched Geds' stream, which is excellent. And if you're not yet a watcher of it, you should be watching his streams. And thought, oh, this is like way better than mine in terms of production values. The production values here remain ropey at best. There goes person in the room. Yeah, you just mention Geds and he appears. Right, so here we go. It's time for the speed run through The Guardian. I'm going to try to do The Guardian in 3 minutes flat, starting on here. I'm not using the voice assistant anymore because it's always a nightmare. Hey, Albert Camus, how you doing? Right, here we go. 3 minutes starting now. Front page of The Guardian. Getting ready for the menopause. Fit for the future. That's in G2. Afsana Begum is interviewed about how she was massively and unfairly persecuted and how she's got through that. The main story is number 10 plea to Biden after Taliban show of strength. Variations on that story you'll see on the Times and the Daily Mail. Also on the front page, Labour sets out plans for benefits overhaul. Absolute bullshit as usual. And it's them trying to seem, more fair than the Tories when in fact making, just really messing with the deck chairs on the Titanic. Inside, on point, race to secure autistic girls, slot at ballet school. Terrorism, act now to limit threats, says Blair. Oh, really? Fuck off. Raab Noble PM over extra days of leave is the claim. That's a repeat of what was said in the Sunday Times. Basketball captain knew she had to flee. That's Afghanistan's wheelchair basketball captain. Love Island finale is here, but can show that manufacturers' conflict ever be safe? Probably not. Thousands may be offered COVID-19 antibody tests. March to honour Greenham women who radicalised a generation. They were pretty incredible. Oh, God, the pages are so stuck together, it's really hard to do this fast. I've only got a minute and a half to finish the whole paper. Channel 4 coverage of the Paralympics faces cut with new owner. Javid urged to impose NHS ban on firms linked to forced labour. Home working takes centre stage in closely fought Unite leadership vote. God, we're going to end up with the worst possible choice there, I think. Gaff-prone rivals give centre-left candidates surprise lead in German polls. We plan for the worst. East Coast residents take shelter as tropical storm Henri hits US. In the Journal, Simon Akam says our military must face up to its failings in Afghanistan. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to happen. Nesreen Malik, who is a good columnist actually, says why the West will learn no lessons from the fall of Kabul. So many of the same dodgy salesmen who peddled the faulty war are still trying to sell us spare parts to keep it on the road. Yes. Front page of the G2 is Apsana Begum saying, my name has been dragged through the mud. MP Apsana Begum on the fraud trial that almost destroyed her. Also, Emma Bedlington tries fell running and how to survive the menopause. Expert tips for a healthier lifestyle. Right, I've got 36 seconds to finish this paper. It's such a nightmare. I hate closing magazines, says the chief of Future Publishing. Is that right? I don't really believe that. Tech Revolution in 1981, I had a demo and they showed me things I couldn't believe. Technology editor Alex Hearn speaks to Victor Keegan about the early days of computing. In the sport, the 100 has been a hoot, but there are some lessons to remember for next year, writes Emma John. And on the back page, New Dimension, Tuchel praises Lukaku after Chelsea send out title warning. 7 seconds to go. That is The Guardian. Hey, SK the Crusader, how you doing? Get Station says Guardian pages stuck together must have gone through Lib Dem HQ before getting to you. Act now to limit Blair. Yes, exactly that. What does the 8 ball say? The 8 ball says most likely rainbow. I don't know what that is. Chronotherm, head of future. I hate doing the one thing I do constantly. Exactly. Hey SK, good to see you. How you doing? I'm looking forward to Saturday evening. Saturday evening, me and SK are doing a stream on one of the most cursed books I have ever encountered. I bought my copy this morning, started looking at it. I had to stop because it was making me feel sick. It is a book of alternative future type essays, including one about Priti Patel being Prime Minister. I'm sure that'll be great when it actually happens. Oh my God. Right, so we now have got the Times and the Daily Mail left to go. Do try out the Herzogs. Do make me do stuff because I'm very excited to have set this up. And the bot, it's all new in season 5. I wouldn't worry about giving me the scores for Guardian. I went through it pretty. Jess Phillips' book, no. I thankfully it's not, but it's pretty bad. Okay, here we go. Here's the Times, front page of the Times. Ice cream snobs, our summer of pricey ices. Oh, thank you, Neon Lady. Always good to see what is his name? Brendan in the chat. Mason's new book looks spicy. Paul Mason was on Times Radio at the weekend. Either getting things terribly wrong or just slightly wrong in literally everything he said. So I'm not sure I could actually physically manage to read Mason's book. I think I might have to tune in for SK's review instead. Anyway, elsewhere on this front page. So they're talking about ice cream snobs. Who gives a fuck? Chronotherm has 57,000 Herzogs. How much more can we make drink? A lot. Studying Fango says, can you add a feature where we get to make you wear hats?
That's a great idea.
Yes. I don't actually have that many hats, and I have a very large head. But if you want to send me hats to wear, all to the good. All right, elsewhere on the front page, mass airlift to evacuate 6,000 from Kabul chaos. It's the same story we just saw in The Guardian, but phrased through the government sources that spin to the Times. Elsewhere on the page, fraud claims at charity backed by Blair's. Yeah, this sounds like an absolute mess. On page 3, face it, we're turning people into aliens, says surgeon. A leading plastic surgeon has chastised his fellow practitioners for promoting a 21st century twisted standard of beauty that encourages people to adopt an alienized look. He counts Hollywood stars among his clients. Right. Jeff Hurst for a hat-trick of World Cup number plates. So Jeff Hurst put the Lexus ESF Sport up for sale with a World Cup themed registration of WC66SGH. The luxury saloon, which is priced at $41,950, is the latest in a series of vehicles and plates sold by Hurst, who scored a hat-trick in the final against West Germany. Okay, whatever. Yusuf Weapon says that I should be made to wear an Orange Man hat and then the person in the room will kill me. Yeah. How to send me coins. Well, I've got a new thing where I can tell you the link to send coins. I just type in a command and bingo, there we go. That's how you can support the stream. Just 10 minutes of meditation a day could improve concentration, is the claim of a new study. Here we go, page 5. Some news on Geronimo the alpaca. I know Studying Fangirl have been asking about it. We'd learn more if Geronimo is spared, say top vets. Thank you, SK, for resubscribing and for being a subscriber for 8 months. That is much appreciated. Vets from the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons have called on the government not to go ahead with the planned slaughter of Geronimo the alpaca after expressing doubt on his diagnosis for tuberculosis. Good news there for Geronimo. Bad news for bloodthirsty Keir Starmer, who wants the streets bathed in alpaca blood. John Cleese will ask whether good comedy is possible without causing offence in a new series for Channel 4. The headline, the show is called John Cleese Cancel Me. Oh, jeez. Fuck off. Commission some people who actually want to make shows that are interesting. On pages 6 and 7, fears ISIS suicide bombers may target soldiers guarding airport. A lot of these fears, I feel, are coming directly from the security services straight to these pages. Do not pass go. Scores of interpreters are still stuck in Kabul. Convicted hate preacher Anjan Chowdhury, another Anjan Chowdhury story, has had his account on the secure messaging app Telegram closed down after he used it to urge the Taliban to be more hardline. Anjan Chowdhury just loves attention. West enemies will cheer, says Blair. One of his rare interventions. I feel like it was a month, like at least a week between the last Blair intervention and the latest one. Pac-Man Stratcard says, can we maybe just stop giving John Cleese the attention he desperately craves? C122, H122 says, Derry Girls is on Channel 4 and brilliant. John Cleese is John Cleese is awful. Yeah, Derry Girls is good. Sean Locke dies and Cleese gets to carry on. I know, imagine. The Neon Lady, John, stop getting divorced, then we won't have to do woeful jobs to pay. You won't have to do woeful jobs to pay for the damages. Bingo. Taliban vow to form government quickly. Journalist scared to leave his house. Commercial planes to help evacuation. There's a picture of a Taliban soldier wearing a T-shirt honouring Ahmad Shah Massoud, the Mujahideen commander who fought Soviet troops while armed Afghans trained alongside local security forces to fight the Taliban. Charlie Faulkner, the Times journalist who is in Afghanistan, writes, seeds of resistance take root in valley where peace is key. This is like, the Times Radio keeps having people from the Afghan government on and going and acting as if these people are also, the Afghan government in exile or whatever they want to call themselves now, acting as if those people are in any way in good faith or aren't massively corrupt themselves or wouldn't run the country in their own disturbed way if they were in power. Use of weapons. Who was the first person the Taliban elect as leader? Why isn't it Jeremy Al Corbyn? Page 11. France blocks British company from patrolling for migrants. France is blocking a European Union move to use a British company to oversee the channel as an apparent record number of migrants. Oh, good, yeah, because they wanted to bring in Frontex. Frontex wanted to has vetoed the decision to grant a British company. What is the company? Tell me who the company is. It doesn't... What is the company? This is so badly written. It's really... Anyway, great. Coins look great highlighted. Private Boyle Security sounds a bit Robocop. Exactly. On page 13, row over bias, a potential new BBC chief. This is just the Times leapfrogging onto the back of the Mail on Sunday's hit piece on Jess Brammer from yesterday. And if you want to read about that, read today's newsletter. Boom! Look at this. Look at that. There you go. There's a manhunt after 2 bodies were found stabbed within hours at separate homes in Westminster. That's disturbing story. On pages 14 and 15, have jab to avoid risk of long COVID, video tells the young. I do not believe that the majority of young people don't want to get the jab. There is a ton of reasons why people haven't been able to get it as quickly as they might want. A British endurance athlete has completed a 5,240-mile run around Britain's coastline, arriving back at the Eden Project in Cornwall in a record time. Nick Butler, 31, completed the equivalent of 200 marathons in 128 days, making him the fastest person to run around mainland Britain. Butter, a former Lloyd's banker from Salisbury, is the only person to have run a marathon in every country, completing 196 marathons across 675 days in 2018 and 19. During the epic run, he was attacked by wild dogs in Tunisia and crossed battlefields in Syria. He set on his latest challenge for some reason. Oh, it's to raise money for various things. He took 10.5 million steps, burnt 1 million calories, and wore through 12 pairs of trainers. Okay, there we go. Stop nearly drowning mice, Lumley implores university. Honestly, that feels like a day-to-day headline. Lab-grown blood cells have got more lifelike, is the claim from researchers. Money for a Strictly Dressed, but not for a murdered boy's parents. That's the investigation into this charity, which is linked to Tony Blair. And, of course, they have a picture. And guess what? Tony Blair's daughter was the chairwoman of this charity because, of course, she was massively qualified to do that. In the comment section, the ever-awful Claire Fogus is in there. She writes, climate change tribe is its own worst enemies. Just as moderate voters accept the need to act, Extinction Rebellion's disruptive antics threaten to alienate them. Because Claire Fogus doesn't believe in any kind of protest. But remember also, Claire Fogus hates travellers and regularly writes pieces to prove as much. James Marriott writes today's notebook and has been given a new XR is literally an op, says use of weapons. Yeah, I mean, I'm increasingly of that opinion. James Marriott has been given his own chuckling Matt Chorley style photo. Did you see this?
Jesus.
It's chuckling Chorley too. Every country, Taiwan, Palestine. Yeah. I mean, it's not can't. Mark Canosa, stop nearly drowning mice. Finish the job. Oh, Jesus. Trevor Phillips writes, at last, Labour comes up with a good idea. What does he think the good idea is? An aspirational list of things to do by the age of 10 is deeply rooted in working class tradition. What? Oh, fuck off. Libby Purvis is playing the generation game robs us all. Societies only thrive if they pull the wisdom of age with the enthusiasm of youth instead of stirring up conflict. The majority of the Times' columnists are 50 and above. Okay, here are today's birthdays, and this is a cursed list, a really cursed list. First on the birthday list, Sir Linton Crosby, political strategist, campaign consultant for the Conservative Party till 2015. Of course, helped get Boris Johnson into all three of his top jobs. Richard Addis, chairman and editor-in-chief of The Day online news service, is 65. John Barton, the chairman of EasyJet, and Ted Baker is 77. Mark Butcher, the cricketer, is 49. Lord Dale Campbell-Savers, the Labour MP until 2001, is 78. Jeff Capes, shot putter, strongman and Highland Games competitor. Very happy birthday to him, he's 72. Eliza Carthy, the folk singer, is 46. Julian Casablancas, the musician, lead singer of The Strokes, is 43. Saskia Clark, the sailor and sailing world champion and Olympic gold medalist, is 42. Edwin Collins, very much happy birthday to him, is 62. Barbara Eden, actress of from I Dream of Jeannie, is 90. Roger Greenway, the pop composer, famous for I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing, is 83. Richard Illingworth, the cricketer, is 58. Glenn Johnson, the footballer for England until 2014, is 37. Queen Noor of Jordan is 70. Lord Peter Lilly, Conservative MP and former Social Security Secretary, is 78. Shelley Long, the actress known for Cheers, is 72. Gary Mabbott, footballer for England until 1992, is 60. Vera Miles, the actress, is 92. Cameron Norrie, the tennis player, British number 2, is 26. Baroness Honora O'Neill of Bengrave, the philosopher, chairwoman of the Equality and Human Rights Commission until 2016, is 80. Ray Park, the actor and stunt performer, best known for playing Darth Maul in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, is 47. Mary Robinson, the Conservative MP for Cheadle, is 66. John Rocher, the designer, is 68. Sean Ryder, very happy birthday to him, he is 59. Sir Roy Strong, the art historian and critic, director of the Victoria and Albert Museum until 1987, is 86. Kelly Tolhurst, the Conservative MP for Rochester and Stroud, the Minister for Rough Sleeping and Housing. I presume if it's a Conservative that she's her job is to increase the rough sleeping, is 43. And Keith Tyson, the artist, Turner Prize winner in 2002, is 52. On this day in 1939, Václav Molotov and Joachim von Ribbentrop, the Soviet and Nazi foreign ministers, signed a non-aggression pact. The last word today in this column goes to Maya Angelou, the American poet, from her book Rainbow in the Cloud, The Wisdom and Spirit of Maya Angelou. Develop enough courage so that you can stand up for yourself and then stand up for somebody else. In the letters page, there is sympathy for Giles Corran. Imagine that. Tim Kerrin of London E7 says, Sir, I sympathise with Giles Corran's car theft issues. However, I would add one other solution to the attempted theft prevention. Leave the car unlocked and the glove compartment open. This worked for a number of us in our street some years ago and meant that we didn't have to constantly get our windows fixed. The thief would often enter the car, find nothing to steal, and leave it where it was, as the challenge had been removed from the equation. I'm not sure that works. And David Green of South Brent, Devon says, Sir, I must warn Giles Corran that a 49 big yellow steel lock on the steering wheel is not the answer. When my car was broken into, they nicked the lock and left the car behind. I was really quite insulted. We are a pro-stealing Giles Corran's car stream. I call on the car thieves of Britain to continue to steal his cars. Particularly on this day of all days, as it was Dawn Foster's funeral today, and he is a piece of shit, and let us never forget that. The Neon Lady says, fake letter, nobody sympathises with Giles, use of weapons. Next time I return to UK, I'm going to steal Giles Corran's car, joyride it around, and then shit in the glove compartment and return it. Ged Station says, sponsor a car thief today. Elsewhere in the world news, Belarus forces migrants into the EU at gunpoint. Trump fights war on wokeism with profanity from General Patton. Fucking fuck off. On the Times too, I worry for my family in Kabul, says Dr. Wahid Aryan, who fled Afghanistan at 14. He talks about his anguish as he watches the chaos. There's a euthanasia referendum looming in Italy. A referendum to decriminalise euthanasia is on the cards after a petition gained 500,000 signatures, the threshold to trigger a public vote. Petition calls for a vote on abolishing a clause in the 1930 law that punishes the homicide of a consenting person with up to 15 years in jail. First proposal in Parliament of a law recognising euthanasia failed 37 years ago. The Vatican has consistently condemned the idea, calling it an intrinsically evil act. Well, if there's ever been an expert on intrinsically evil acts, it's the Vatican. Right, moving on. Dirty cash crackdown hurts banks. Fines for anti-laundering failures soar to £2.2 billion. If I were banks, I would simply stop laundering dirty money. Self-driving electric vans and buses have arrived in the UK. Mark Littlewood, the director of the Institute of Economic Affairs, who funds you, Mark? Who funds you? Writes, a fixation with inequality ignores rising wealth of the poorest nations. We've heard this shit time and time and again. Oh, things are getting better. At the bottom, it's not. It's not getting better. The gap between poor and rich is still huge. The reality of people's lives is horrendous. Mark Anosis stealing his car, getting a massive Dawn Foster tribute decal airbrushed onto the bonnet, then returning it. Love it. For just £5 a month, you could buy fishing wire for a budding young hero. C122, H122. Giles Corran needs to walk forever or remain carless. Agreed. Wall Street's shortest take on internet hero. Catherine Wood's huge success with her ARC fund has faltered. Now she's under pressure. Oh, what's that? It's a tiny violin. Let's see. Right, we're moving on. In the obituaries, of course, Don Everly gets the main obituary. One half of the country rock duo, the Everly Brothers, whose close-knit harmonies influenced the Beatles and Simon and Garfunkel. He died of undisclosed causes on August 21st, age 84. It's a good... I mean, one of the things that is worth reading in the Times is the obits. They get a lot of good detail in them. Marshal of the RAF, Sir Peter Harding, has died. Former Chief of the Defence Staff who resigned after his affair with the wife of a Tory MP was exposed. It was splashed on the front page of the News of the World with the headline, Chief of Defence in Sex and Security Scandal. A classic of the genre, that one. And the other obit today is Peter Corby, inventor of the eponymous electric trouser press, whose creation was lampooned by Alan Partridge. Not so much lampooned by Alan Partridge. Partridge just bored and took it apart. The Bonzo Dog Band immortalised Corby's invention in song and invented a dance that went, "Do the crowd trouser press, baby, 1, 2, 3." One mourner commented on Twitter that the sad news of the trouser press king's demise had left the world feeling rather flat. The jokes were indicative of just how common the electric Corby trouser press became after he patented the design in the 1960s and set up a leasing arrangement with hotel chains such as Travelodge and Trust House 40. The key to the success of the Corby's invention was a leg-length electrical heating pad which could safely reach thermostatically controlled temperatures of 60 degrees C. Plugged in overnight, Corby's press banished baggy knees syndrome, so that, as Albert put it, today's man looks 100% and never crumpled. Sunday Times suggested that on a list of great British inventors, Corby's name deserved to take its place alongside Sir Tim Berners-Lee, Alexander Fleming and John Logie Baird. On his retirement to the Isle of Wight, he set about modifying his house with no end of electrical gadgetry, from dumbwaiters to a contraption that raised and lowered a much-loved train set between its storage space in the roof and its rightful pride of place in his toy-filled garage. There we go. The trouser press king is dead. Long live the trouser press king. Use of weapons. Love to press my trousers in a Norwich Travelodge. Mark says, I'm sure it's just they don't have the full info, but undisclosed cause always makes me assume someone got fucked to death by a horse. I love that that's where your mind goes, Mark, I have to say. Right, and in the new... trying to sell us horrible looking dinners. And in the sport, Lukaku's instant return. Chelsea's £97.5 million man scores 15 minutes into first start to punish woeful Arsenal. There you go, that's the Times. Give us your scores. For me, no animal stories, no coins. It's a classic negative nice. Finally, we come to the Daily Mail, which we have 15 minutes to complete. So let's do it. Right, let me get the... Civil war in Corby over the throne of the trouser press. Blair calls for UN intervention. Yeah. I mean, you can't be... There's no denying that logic, Mark. We do know at least one person has been fucked to death by a horse. Right, Daily Mail, front page. An unholy alliance standing just feet apart. Gun-toting Taliban and British soldiers try to quell airport chaos. I mean, interesting one, this, isn't it? Because the British soldiers were also gun-toting in that situation. Amid fears there may be only 2 days left to get refugees out of Afghanistan, PM to plead with Biden, don't cut and run yet, Joe. Again, this is we've seen this across all the papers today, briefing by the government to make it seem like it's entirely Biden thing and that Boris Johnson has no responsibility and the UK has no responsibility for the situation. Mark just rates the Times minus 69 dismantled trouser presses. Elsewhere, inside the Daily Mail, that's a lot of notes. Album recorded on £146 million worth of Stradivarius violins. That's just 12 violins. And on the bottom of page 3, let go. Man who attacked school bully 20 years on. A victim of school bullying has walked free from court after taking revenge years later when he saw his tormentor walk past a pub he was drinking in. Kevin Blatchford recognised his old enemy from school and rushed into the street to launch a vicious attack which left the other man with 2 black eyes. Blatchford, 38, told Exeter Crown Court he saw a man whom he had known since school and went to confront him because he felt he had been bullied by him both there and in the years since. Stupid thing to do, he said. It was bullying thing from school. He took my coat and my phone off me and beat up my brother. I've been drinking and it caused me to see red. It's very out of character. Blatchford from Essex was not represented but told the judge he was in a fragile mental state at the time of the attack. Blatchford attacked his victim from behind, landed at least 5 punches and slapped or punched him another 7 times when he was on the ground. He admitted assault causing actual bodily harm and was given a 10-month jail sentence, suspended for 18 months and ordered to do 10 days of rehabilitation. So he wasn't let go. He was found guilty. He just got a suspended sentence. See, it's always worth reading past the headlines on these things. On pages 4 and 5, give us more time to save them. How Paris and Taliban form very uneasy pact. On pages 6 and 7, 2 sides of catastrophe. Nightmare of those left behind and sheer relief of ones who made it. On pages 8 and 9, anger as BBC guest says every Muslim I know is celebrating. That was Kola Hassan from the Islamic Sharia Council. I would want to see them in context, but that doesn't sound right, does it? SAS in dramatic desert raid to save troops from Taliban. As Kandahar fell, our elite soldiers were stranded hundreds of miles from safety until daring rescue in dead of night. Again, just absolute propaganda. Mark Canosa says, absolute standard sentence for first offence of aggravated bodily harm. Yeah. On page 11, you shall go to the ball again. West End Cinderella played the role at school. Just PR for Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical. Andrew Lloyd Webber can go fuck himself as he flew back from America to vote in favour of benefit cuts. Also on page 11, why Waitrose is the worst for fresh online deliveries. Well, one of the reasons that Waitrose is the worst is it pays its couriers absolutely appalling money by using a gig economy partner. Gig economy. Use of weapons. Andrew Lloyd Webber looks and tastes like a frog. I see no lies in that sentence. On pages 12 and 13, long COVID alert for the young. It's more in that video. On page 15, Johnson's night out and Wilf's the main attraction. Again, whoopee do. Chronotherm, problem with the new Andrew Lloyd Webber musical is that Goth Cinderella is my aesthetic. Yeah, shame, isn't it? Mark Canosis says Andrew Lloyd Webber also comes in Bonds. Again, seems factual to me. On page 17, good luck in Tokyo, Dad. RAF veteran hoping to fly high in Paralympics. RAF serviceman who lost his legs in Afghanistan wants to prove he could do what normal dads do by representing Britain in wheelchair rugby at the Tokyo Olympics. Well, good luck to him. As daily arrivals hit 800, French warn of security threat. Gun alert over migrants in the Channel. This is about a bag that was dropped overboard and a claim that a gun was in it. Complete bullshit. Epidemic in online betting gets worse. 12% increase in web gamblers during the pandemic. The Daily Mail here, talking about this, while also pushing horse racing constantly. So, on page 18, Dominic Lawson, can't be bothered with him. On page 19, so naff it was even mocked by Alan Partridge. Oh God, here we go. But as inventor Peter Corby does, Mike Palmer, who has two, says it's a design classic with an intriguing history. And he says how Concord inspired the trouser press. On page 21, My Little Miracle after menopause, age just 28, Jade Pankhurst has had a baby. She was told she never would. After having the menopause at 28. Doctors told her she had premature ovarian failure at age 28. She's put on HRT treatment, but in autumn last year she started to feel sick. Her monthly cycles had returned with the HRT had stopped. She was told to take a pregnancy test, and she was 4 weeks pregnant. She's had a baby. Lovely news for her. More on the alpaca. Geronimo's owner. You won't find anyone to execute him. They will. Keir Starmer with an axe. Use of Weapons now wants to buy a trouser press. On pages 22 and 23, meet Britain's most well-heeled women who own more than 100 pairs of shoes. Apparently more than 1 in 8 women own more than 100 pairs. How many pairs of shoes do you think you own?
35.
Yeah, that seems fair. How many pairs of shoes do I own? About 6.
No, you've got far more than that. You've got loads downstairs.
6 or 7 pairs.
Actually, I probably own about 40 or 50 pairs.
Yeah, okay. Zoe Brings Bacon owns less than 5 pairs. Who was the lawyer that killed the fox? That was Jolyon Morn. Yes, the Neon Lady, aka the contestants in the Imelda Marcos tribute contest. Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. I mean, fine, Yeah, the killing of the fox has sort of unleashed some good out of Jolyon Morn. I don't know what it did, How many... let's see. On page 24, Bye Bye Bruv. Don Everly, 84, dies 7 years after Phil, but Mum is still alive at 101. Well, that's deeply sad for her, isn't it? On page 25, here we go again. Extinction Rebellion activists, including chart topper Jerome, in opening ceremony for 2 weeks of chaos. That is Jerome of Robson and Jerome. Yes, we're back in the 90s. 90s and early noughties.
Wait, is he the one that was in Game of Thrones?
He was in Game of Thrones. How my date with a Beatle was nearly wrecked by screaming teenage girls, writes Hayley Mills in her book that the Daily Mail are calling Confessions of an Accidental Child Star. Well, she wasn't accidental. Her father was an internationally famous actor. Okay, on this day, August 23rd, 2021, we are back. We are back on this for Season 5. For the Daily Mail archive, August 23rd, 1932, the whole of the BBC has been mobilised to hunt down the cat that dared to contravene the BBC's most sacred and unbreakable rules and butt into a wireless programme without having submitted a script. We know its history, said a BBC official yesterday. It was left here by workmen who built Broadcasting House. August 23rd, 1962. President de Gaulle escaped death tonight when two OAS commando groups sprayed his car with submachine gun fire. The assassination attempt was staged near the Paris suburb of Clamart as the president was driving to Villacoublay, a military airfield, to fly home. His black Citroën DS limousine was hit at least 12 times, but no one was injured. Happy birthday to Barbara Eden, 90. She played Jeannie, the genie, in I Dream of Jeannie. How many times can I say Jeannie? More times than that, even. And also happy birthday to Saskia Clark, who's 42, the sailor from Essex, completed at 3 Olympics, hated the sport as a child. She was mugged at knife point in Rio in 2014. She was in Brazil for the 2016 Olympics, where she went on to win gold. She also 6 World Championship medals and won the World Sailor of the Year award. Also born on this day, James Lavelle, who died in 2019. The US detective was handcuffed to Lee Harvey Oswald, John F. Kennedy's assassin, and escorted him through the Dallas police headquarters, where Oswald was shot by Jack Ruby. The World War II veteran stood out in the Pulitzer Prize-winning photograph taken seconds before the murder because of his light-coloured suit. In 1992, while demonstrating how his colleague had tried to grab Ruby's gun to stop him firing, Lavelle accidentally shot a researcher. Incredible scenes. Also born on this day, in 1927, died 2018, Peter Wyngarde. The British actor made his name as the sleuth Jason King in the series Department S. His character's use of the phrase groovy baby inspired the Austin Powers films. Wyngarde, who had an affair with actor Alan Bates, was interned in Japanese civilian camp in World War II. On August 23rd, in 1944, a US Air Force bomber crashed into a school in Freckleton, Lancashire, killing 61 people, including 38 children. And on this day in 1990, the unification of the West and East Germany was announced. Quote of the day, according to the Daily Mail, comes from Samuel Foote, the English actor and playwright, who said, "He is not only dull himself, but the cause of dullness in others." I feel he was could have been talking about Brendan O'Neill. And joke of the day. I just slipped on a banana skin. I look ridiculous in it. Oxford College in row over 21% non-white student target. Oxford College has faced criticism over its target to boost the number of ethnic minority students. Worcester College, alma mater of Rupert Murdoch, set an admissions goal of 21% for non-white students in a bid to enhance racial equality. Though the target was set in 2019, according to recently released figures, within just a year, the ethnic minority intake almost tripled from 16 students to 42. It's a portion of the college's UK fresher intake. That was a jump from 11% to 36%, way above the original goal. Dr. Marcella Ward, an outreach fellow, said the change was achieved through empowering tutors to more readily recognise diverse potential. However, one insider, an angry racist, criticised the target, saying it looks awfully like a quota, adding, "I do not see how Worcester can have achieved this spectacular turnaround without using ethnic minority status as an explicit plus factor in admissions decisions." An Oxford spokesman said that the figure was a target rather than a rigorous quota, and stressed that admissions offers are made solely on academic potential. Right, in Inspire, Joan Bakewell reveals anguish of finally facing up to her age at 88. Anyone over 60 needs to think long and hard about the next 40 years, she says. Old age is no longer a blip in the calendar, but a major and important segment of life. In the sport, the verdict, £98 million man silences the doubters with debut goal to down Arsenal. Look who's back is the headline. Frankie Bridge says the big lesson she's learned is, trust me, antenatal depression is real. I don't know who thought it wasn't, but if they did think it wasn't real, they can fuck themselves. Agony of fighting for my child in the family court by a family lawyer. To warring parents, the secretive family courts can be a terrifying ordeal. Now, in a blisteringly candid account, a lawyer who worked in 15 years reveals how, when she found herself in her client's shoes, it almost destroyed her. Dr. Max is awful. We've no time for Dr. Max. There's recipes for burgers, drunken noodles, and Courtney's fabulously fluffy protein pancakes. These are from Courtney Black. I don't know who that is. In the TV, they recommend Tsunami, 9 p.m, Channel 5 with Dr. Zan Van Tulleken. And in the TV review, Serengeti 2 gets 4 stars from Christopher Stevens, while Billy Munger, Changing Gears, only gets 3 stars. In the cartoons, Garfield is laying down, Chloe and Co are drinking and talking about men, and in Fred Bassett, they've gone on a trip to the Sunshine Holiday Park, and Fred gets the best bed. C122H122 says, who is Dr. Max? Dr. Max is a health columnist for the Daily Mail. He's very annoying. Right, on to the straight to the point letters. G. Till of Telford, Shropshire says, Tom Tugendhat for PM. Barry Smith says, I can visit a barber, a dentist, a chiropodist, or a chiropractor, but I can't see my GP face to face. Paul Charles Cook says, I'm all in favour of the 1950s lifestyle. A country house, Jaguar XK150, bespoke suit, plus Grace Kelly and Cary Grant at the pictures. Oh, fuck off. G. Coughlin says, how patronising to suggest that a 63-year-old might spend her birthday with grandchildren or in the garden centre. Like Madonna, I'd far rather be partying at a cocktail bar with a fit young male dancer. Cyril George says, a rogue asteroid set on a collision course with Earth? Send for Bruce Willis. And Michael Dillon says, how unfair the Daily Mail is not given the credit it deserves in the upcoming TV drama about the killers of Stephen Lawrence. Oh, yes. The Daily Mail, forever not given enough credit for being a barnacle on the arse of Britain. Today's recipe is raspberry kefir overnight oats, which looks fine. How did Polly Toynbee get to Oxford despite playing at A-levels? Oh, yeah, her dad was an Oxford Don. How did Toby Young get into Oxford? Well, his dad phoned up some friends. There's many stories about that. Right, what are they trying to sell you? Various mobility scooters. A ruffle poof. Why not relax in style on this ruffle poof? I'll say it one more time. Ruffle poof. Usual price £249. Marconosis at the garden centre, drinking cocktails out of a thermos, getting railed by a fit young dancer. And in the sports, Arteta loses it. Arsenal boss is denied after humbled side are booed off, and he's still Harry Hotspur. For now, they talk about Kane still playing for Spurs. That is the Daily Mail. For me, it's a triple negative nice. A classic. Right, so thank you for joining me today on this first episode of Season 3. If you are not yet a subscriber to the newsletter, boom, give it a go. And if you have enjoyed the show and you want to help me keep it going, do consider chucking some coins into the newspaper fund. I will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. For the next show. C122H122 gives it a quadruple negative nice to the Daily Mail. Hassan Pike, minus Hassan Piker's $3 million shoe collection out of 10, says use of weapons. And Zoe Bring Bacon ends the show by asking me to hydrate myself. Delicious mustard. Right, I will see you all tomorrow at 1 p.m. Don't forget to person in the room, there you go. And yes, hopefully we'll have coins tomorrow. Too many coins. Yeah. And if you're watching this on YouTube, all the shows do go up on YouTube. Remember to like, subscribe, and all that other stuff. It's really helpful. Cheers all. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you. And thanks all for joining me for this first show. Really appreciate it. Bye.